Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Sonic Movie Show, the only show that covers every single video game movie. My name is Ethan, and with me here on this craft miney and adventure, as always, is Devin.
This guy is a tool bag.
That was from the trailers. That was easy to remember. That was from
It was the only one up on IMDb here. I said right before we recorded to Ethan, I'm like, I have 5 on the tip of my tongue, but then none of them are coming to me. Like
same for me.
I can't solidify.
There was definitely one towards the end where it was semi-insulting, and I'm like, he's gonna say that because he likes to direct them at me. So I'm glad he actually forgot and said something that I actually find endearing. Hello, everyone. Please like, subscribe, share. Again, we do every single video game movie and new movies that are coming out that are video game themed, including Minecraft, a Minecraft movie. That is the full official title of this movie, a Minecraft movie. I like that.
Same.
I like that more than the Minecraft movie, perhaps.
Or just Minecraft, which they could have just done that, right?
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog, Borderlands,
and
Doom. Any other movie we've seen,
sure.
pretty much.
But them calling this a Minecraft movie means they can call the next one another Minecraft movie, or they could get cheeky with it. And I'm a connoisseur of the cheeky and potentially SEO harming sequel titles. You know what I mean? I like that. I like when, unless you know it's a sequel, the title doesn't tell you, and I like that as well. I don't have any examples come to mind, but, sometimes it'd be like that. I like we had Alien, right? Now, hold up. What if the next movie was Alien versus Predator, and then the one after that, Aliens versus Predator, Requiem.
Yep. Which I saw in theaters and not seen since, because even as a 13-year-old, I was disappointed.
Yeah, real bad. Also, that one was rated R, and the first Alien vs. Predator wasn't. It was teen.
It was PG-13, yeah.
yeah. They kill kids in that Requiem movie. No kids die in this movie.
Well.
No human kids die in this movie.
Light spoilers.
Yes. We're going to be spoiling this movie, folks. But before we get into that, when we just talk about overall thoughts, I guess, because we review a lot of movies that came out forever ago, and it's very rare nowadays, although we're picking up steam, reviewing new video game movies, so we want to make sure we're not going to just jump straight into spoilers and say that Steve explodes because a creeper eats him. Oh, shoot, I just spoiled that. That's a lie. He dies another way. What did you think about the movie just overall, Devin? Having your experience with Minecraft is similar to mine, where we're not like both huge big fans, but we've definitely played like a respectable amount, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I mean, from the first trailer, and I saw it a couple times, like in previews, in previous movies I was watching at the theater. And I remember the trailer being kind of like, oh man, this could be a real stinker. This could be really bad. But maybe just the trailer pacing. We've all been there where we watch a movie trailer thinking it's going to be one thing, and then it kind of actually winds up turning out to be good. Or vice versa, where the trailer looks really hype, and then you go in and you're like, well, that stunk. So I try not to put too much stock, but I'm a human being, so there's a little bit of level of like caution that I took from the trailer, but I'm like, hey, we do this show, I'm gonna see it regardless, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. So I try to go in with an open mind, but I'll say this, like, right away, very quickly, and I got this hint from the trailer a little bit, but I think they really just doubled down on it, that this is a kids movie, like, for 100%. This isn't like, I mean, yes, Sonic the Hedgehog, the first movie that our namesake is from, is a kids movie too, but I would put that more in the family realm because of Jim Carrey, and there's quite a few jokes in that, at least the first movie and the second. I had my critique of the third movie saying that I feel like they dialed it back even more to make it more kid-friendly and more fan-friendly, as opposed to a more general film for maybe the mom or dad who's bringing their kids to this, that they can at least find some enjoyment, or be like, I remember Jim Carrey from Yes Man and whatnot back in my day, Ace Ventura, so that's why I'm here. And, Jack Black, in a sense, is kind of our generation a little bit too. Is Jim Carrey to a sort of sense. He's been in other movies. And from our time, like Nacho Libre, which the director of this movie directed. He also
Oh,
directed
right.
Napoleon Dynamite
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. So we know what type of comedies Jack Black's capable of and has done. We know the comedies that Jared Hess, the director, there's the name, came to me, that he has done. But at the end of the day, this movie is a kid's movie, and yes, we can still review it before anyone gets all butt hurt, or I make a clip and there's always the one comment that's like, you guys got mad, or you guys were picking apart a kid's
Kids
movie.
deserve good movies. If not, maybe more so than adults, because they need to have a baseline of like there's respect to the medium that can be given. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
But yeah, this felt way even more kid friendly compared to Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's the closest comparison I can make. I felt like there was like two or three, maybe, arguably jokes that maybe a kid would understand. Like I think that whole I won't say this.
Right.
That's a
Yeah.
spoiler. But there's one part of the movie where I'm like, okay, this is for the adults a little bit, but it doesn't come back very often. But overall, I think this is a kids movie, and so I tried to grade it on that after coming out of it. And I think this is just a okay kids movie. I think I was impressed by some of the visuals. I was, from the trailer, maybe you're watching on your computer screen, it kind of maybe doesn't look as good. But I watched it in IMAX, and I thought it looked pretty decent in terms of like lighting and whatnot. Um, uh, I felt that, yeah, like I said, the comedy wasn't really hitting for me, but I also don't think I was the target audience for it. I feel like, we had kids in my audience who were laughing at most of the jokes, or at least, chuckled here and there. And I didn't have like a big audience because I went pretty early in the day. But still, there's quite a few kids there with their parents or whatnot. And yeah, trying to just get straight to the point here. I think this is just an okay kids movie. On a video game movie, I'm sure we'll rank us at the end of the episode, but I saw reviews even like before going on, like this is the worst movie, blah blah blah, of the year, and like yeah, probably of movies I've seen, but at the same time, I don't think it's like god awful like Borderlands was, where I was uncomfortable watching it. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of had fun just watching it. I don't think I'm gonna
You
watch
should have
this
said that in the
again.
Borderlands review that the movie made you uncomfortable. I don't remember you feeling that way.
Uncomfortable in the sense of like just I feel bad for everyone involved,
Fair
that
enough.
some
Fair
people
enough.
were, what I mean. It's same thing with In the Name of the King, where I just like I'm embarrassed for them, like that they were involved.
Yeah.
It seemed like all the actors had fun doing this and didn't take it too seriously, in the sense of, not saying they didn't like they phoned it in, but just that like they knew what they were getting themselves into. This wasn't trying to be a serious film by any means. I think this is just an okay movie. I have some like story issues, or I feel like pacing could have been better here and there, but like I'm like I had fun for the most part, and I don't know if I'll watch this again by my own fruition, but I had fun, and we've seen a lot worse video game movies. Not going to say this is great or good, but just we've seen a lot worse, so maybe that's why the scale is different. But even just for a kids movie, I feel like this is fine. Like if I have a kid, or I have a young cousin or something, and they wanted to watch this, I wouldn't I wouldn't roll my eyes about watching this with them, I guess.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, the trailers. I am in a similar boat. So I don't want to get too hyperbolic here and be like the trailers didn't do this movie justice, but they gave me a much more negative impression going into the movie than I feel like it deserved. Both in terms of the acting, the humor, and the visuals as well. The trailer made all of them look bad, and in here it's just fine. It's okay. I thought Jason Momoa would be insufferable in this movie. I ended up liking him more than any other character
Mm.
because, like, hey, you know what? This guy isn't a complete douchebag, and there's some funny things about it, and I like him. I rooted for him a lot, even when there might be inter-character conflicts. But for instance, the visuals I think were fine. It still did give me a little bit of that SNL skits type of style where it's like it's all just background and like I thought we were rushing. You're talking about pacing. Well, why are we leisurely walking? Oh, because we needed to have this environment for a quick scene. So now we're walking through this. There's that type of stuff in there as well. But yeah, like you said, a lot of the jokes and all that are very kid focused, and the majority of them did not hit for me at all. I kind of recognized, that hey, this is just gonna be the way this movie is, but I never found any of them to be cringy. I never was like, oh god.
And that's the difference for sure.
Absolutely. And like there is, some Jack Black and Jason Momoa bits going back and forth, and some of them I'm like, you know what? This isn't really getting me, but I appreciate the angle, I guess, that they're really trying to do here. And there is a reference to a very popular bit from an 80s movie that the two of them do. And I'm like, all right, I appreciate this. One of you is fat and the other is muscular, but I'm glad that you're acting, you're pretending as if you're on an equal level here. So yeah, I mean, like for me, it's fine. It's okay. There were some things where I am a bit surprised about. For me, and this is a pet peeve I have, and like maybe this is my angle on this is I think video games usually always do this, and I've seen some movies do this, but a lot of movies don't do this, and maybe my perception of every movie needs to do it this way is wrong because of or maybe not necessarily fair because of my perspective on this. But this movie is about a journey, and it felt like we barely stopped anywhere to do things, or when we did stop there, we were blitzing by, sometimes literally. This is, a video game movie, a movie about a very famous and popular video game that has iconic looks to things, and I now close my eyes and I'm like, I don't think I remember any of the visuals. Like, I cannot imagine a scene compared to how striking, like the game is. You know what I mean? You're playing the game and you recognize your own landmarks and stuff like that. Like it's just a very iconic kind of look. And I can imagine elements of how certain scenes might have looked, but I can't really like close my eyes and picture an entire scene from this movie on the like CG visuals aspect. So like it weirdly felt bland to me in that aspect. Not going into any spoilers, I thought a lot of the characters were just fine. Besides Jason Momoa being just a skosh better. I actually didn't really think that Jack Black was too out of pocket for how the trailer presented it, how he would be. I mean, there's that famous "I'm Steve" type of thing, and like I thought they were gonna make him way more. And maybe your perspective is this is doing the thing, but I thought he was gonna be way more like outlandishly eye-rolling for the other characters, and then I didn't really think that was going to be the way. Or I thought that was going to be the way
everyone. Well, I think some characters are more tame, or maybe just weren't given the chance to do that. But I mean, like, yeah, Jason Momoa's character Garrett is outlandish just as much as Jack Black Steve,
and it works for me better.
Yeah,
personally.
I think it would have been. I thought from the trailer too. I thought it was going to be. The closest example I can think of is Kong Skull Island, where like that one guy who gets deserted there, and they encounter him. He's kind of a weirdo, and like he knows everything about the world, so they need him. But like he's
right. I mean,
a weirdo and kind of eye rolling. It works. Jumanji,
right.
Same thing. Yeah. So I'm glad that wasn't the case. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. There were things, no spoilers, but there were things that like, so I took a pair of people who are younger than us who grew up playing this video game, and so they recognize some things, and I want to speak this out because I find it very interesting. Our perspective on maybe video games we grew up with and like a movie adaptation, and maybe just because we've done this rodeo so many times, it's like, okay, yes. Were we really expecting a lot of like overt Sonic references in the Sonic movie and this and that. Maybe it took them a couple times. And even in Sonic 3, like, they're very tame unless it is the plot of the movie, right, with Sonic
Right.
3. You know what I mean? So, like, going into the movie, like, I had heard the hope that, like, oh, I hope they play some classic Minecraft songs, and I'm like, well, I know the composer is pretty famous. He just C481 or 18, whatever is his like artist name. He just did the soundtrack to a game I really liked called Wanderstop. So like, hey, he's on my radar now, even though I don't really care that much about the Minecraft music. That's what I was thinking. But no, when they made that comment, classic Minecraft songs, they were literally referencing the parody songs on YouTube that you would find a decade ago. And like, well, I was like, I find those horribly cringy. But I was not the target. It was kids that was the target audience. Don't mind at night. Like this person said that, I'm like, oh my god, I remember this. I hated this, but like,
I don't know
you know
any of
what?
those.
That type of thing is indicative of this game. You know what I mean? It's a paratext. It's nothing to do with the official video game itself. It is paratext other people made, but that is what the game is.
It's the culture.
When
we
reviewed,
the community.
Yeah, when we reviewed Five Nights at Freddy's, well, that game incorporated that type of paratext into the game itself, and so then like that's a little bit different of a thing. So I was not expecting some of these parody songs to be in there, and spoilers they're not. Whatever, but like that is the kind of angle I think a lot of people that are younger than us going into this movie that grew up being like, I remember this, and I remember Minecraft being more than a thing I played. It was a thing I watched other people play. And are they going to reference the Rooster Teeth Let's Play, or maybe it wasn't Rooster Teeth. There was a famous one by a major channel, or some of these bigger YouTubers and whatnot. And supposedly
Captain Sparkles or whatever.
Supposedly
guys,
there are some of the, maybe at least one.
There is one. I won't spoil it. There is one that I was
Minecraft
aware of.
Dude.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like there's that in there, and there was recognition from those that know who those people are, perhaps. That I obviously didn't get. So I just find it interesting because, like, for the most part, we're seeing a lot of video game movies that are about older stuff. And as I talked in, actually in an episode that hasn't aired yet, we aren't really seeing a lot of video game movies. We're on the cusp of seeing video game movies that are about video games that came out after us. You know what I mean? Like after us being kids, like Five Nights at Freddy's.
After The Last of Us.
Well, yeah. But no, games that kids grew up with, and how are those being represented to those people? It's different than how, like, Sonic or Warcraft or blah, blah, blah it was. So I just an interesting kind of take there for the movie. But again, yeah, I echo pretty much everything you have to say, and probably will say, because I feel like this movie is very straightforward. It gets to the point rather quickly, and is like, hey, you know what? Screw plot holes. Screw like the conundrum of convenience. Everything. Yep. This is just movie magic. Yes, of course this is here because we just need to get you going. We're on a time budget here. We're on a time crunch. So it is the way it is. I think there is a much more clever version of this movie in the ether that could have been made. There's also probably a lot worse. There are
Right.
easily could have been Borderlands levels of movies that could have been made out of this material for sure. You know what I mean? So to be fair, when you say you heard people say this was the worst movie of the year, I mean, yeah, if I only see good movies and then this, but like if this movie didn't scream to me, it was like, this is the worst movie you are going to see this year, because I bet there are worse movies coming out. You know what I mean?
And
Captain America,
say,
for instance.
I've seen movies that I didn't like this year in theaters already, where I'm like, or I rented it or whatnot, and yeah, I don't know, like, but I mean, I think most of the stuff I did see were from like, I mean, there was one from like IGN or Critic, like, or more like Variety, those kind of, maybe not Variety, but that Hollywood Reporter, like, oh, this movie stinks. It's like, yes, because y'all like have like 4 movies you actually like every year, and they become
They're
the
all
Golden
by
Globe winners.
A24, you know.
Or not even that. It'll just be like it has to. You'll know what they are by the end of the year when the Golden Globes and all that get
Oscar
announced,
bait.
and you're
You know
like,
what I mean? You know it
it's
when you see
Oscar
it.
baiting,
Yeah.
which
But I
is
mean-
fine if you like those. I get it. Like I watched Conclave, and I'm like, yeah, it was good.
Good movies can also, be pretentious.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And people can be pretentious about a movie that they could have not objectively correct opinions, but like more acceptedly common opinions about How am I phrasing this? They can be right about a movie and also.
but
be
for
pretentious
example,
about
like
it.
even if we like. Even like a S rank, and we'll do our rankings later, but like an S rank, S tier
Don't spoil
video game
it.
movie.
Jeez, you just gave away what tier we were giving.
But like an S tier of that, like won't ever get like a Golden Globe or a Oscar or anything like that. It's just not how the Oscars or any of those things work. So, but it doesn't mean it's bad. You can still like it and whatever. But just want to preface that like don't always put so much stock into these video game movies reviews from like high end reporting, because they're always gonna crap on it. Like at the end of the day, like even the good great ones, they're probably still gonna be like, yeah, at best this is fine. But even when on our show we grade all the video game movies on a curve too, so I guess we do it ourselves. But we also aren't like, oh my god, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was the worst movie of all time,
Right.
because
we wanted to really
it's a
like
kid's
that movie, so of course we're going to be critical of it. Before we exit spoiler-free, as a spoiler-free end cap here, do you generally recommend this as a video game movie? I guess.
As a video game, I mean, I guess I don't know what the target audience is for a video game movie still.
Yeah, I guess to be
even
fair,
when doing
there's a
this.
lot of like preface questions here of like, are you taking a kid? Did you play this game? Because like
Right.
if either answer to that is one of those two is yes, then I guess I would. But if
Sure.
the answer is no to both, well then like why would you see this?
Like, I don't know how many people are like us that are like, we want to see every video game movie that comes out.
gamers or
It's-
gamer curious.
Yeah, so I
yeah.
would say if you're just a general moviegoer and you somehow stumbled into this and you're just looking for honest thoughts, you're probably okay skipping this one. If you have a kid, take them. Especially if they played Minecraft, take them.
I
played
wouldn't
Minecraft.
say-
Maybe give it a shot when it comes to rent. If you're on the fence, like it's okay waiting. This isn't like we said, this is okay. Like it's fine.
You don't need
It
to
could
rush
be
out
worse.
to
It
see
could have
this.
been better.
This is in the tier of you can rent this. Borderlands, for instance, was in the tier of you should pirate this. That is not advice. But that's the tier I would put it in. You know what I mean? I wouldn't put this movie in the you should pirate it. Maybe I'd put Captain America in there, Brave New World. I did see this movie recently. But I wouldn't put Minecraft in that tier, for instance. So now we're in spoiler territory. I will start by not talking about the movie. Folks at home might know that we go to theaters to see these movies, but I moved a couple years ago. Moved back home to the state of New York. And my local theater, the Regal Theater, had been closed. So the closest theater was an AMC, the only AMC that was close enough to even appear on the app. That's how far away all the others are. Was like 40 minutes away, and it doesn't have any. Maybe it has an IMAX screen, maybe, but it doesn't have any Dolby Vision or audio screens either, and that's far away, and blah blah blah. So I just skipped a lot of movies, right, that I probably would have seen. But recently, in the place of where this Regal Theater used to be, Apple Cinemas has taken it over. They're a northeastern chain, from what I've gathered by their locations, and there's a few in the state of New York. One is further than 40 minutes, but it is close enough for like if you wanted to.
Wait, this isn't related to like Apple, like
No, neither is
Wow,
the Apple Ford dealership that was near. Number of times you've said that, and I've told you it is unrelated to the Apple computer company.
No,
Is at least 3. This makes
disagree.
4. You can disagree. Maybe it's 5 or 6. That's probably where it is at. No, this is a company. I mean, it's not Apple Records either. You know what I mean? Turns out you can name things after a fruit.
I thought Steve Jobs went there and like looked at it himself. He's like, "This is gonna be a great place for a movie theater."
No, he did not. He's been dead for 14 years.
The ghost. They replicated him as an AI or whatever.
Exactly. So Apple Cinemas took the place over, and this is my first movie theater experience with them, and they're a chain that is similar to a more famous chain called Alamo Drafthouse. Maybe I'm being too generous with that, because this place does have a bar and there is food that they make. Now I don't think they bring the food to you. We did have to wait for the chicken tenders and fries to be done for one of our party members here. This theater opened up last month, so the staff is brand new. The kid at the you get your tickets at the place you get the food at, which is obviously their way of like getting you to like, well, you're already here. And you're already talking to the guy, you know what I mean? That kid, was still learning the thing, and everyone was a little bit confused there. Even the person training him was, she was obviously clearly new because they were less than a month on the job, right? But one weird thing about it, and I my receipt's in the other room. I should have looked at it to see what the prices were at because I paid for everything. But the popcorn you get yourself, they fill up a
Go
machine.
Scoop it.
You don't scoop it. You stick the bucket under the thing. You hold the button down, and it dispenses into the thing. And it was free refills. And it's like you could just do that with any size, even though they tell you only the large.
Just
gets
start bringing
the
in like
refill.
gas canisters.
Well, I had the thought too. I mean, like, what's to stop you from using your drink cup? I just want a drink. Is that cheaper than a small popcorn? Fill that up.
Or get one of those collapsible bowls if you just want like a little. You know what I mean? Just. Couple handfuls worth of popcorn to just start grabbing as you go in.
Yep. The type of bowl you would have for your dog is water when you take them on a walk. Is actually for popcorn now. So that was interesting, and like it's whatever. This is probably boring to folks at home, but it's it's in an area where it's like this Regal Theater, old as dirt, with stadium seating, and like all of it was just like, eh. So to actually have like recliners and like there was trays out because again you're supposed to be eating hamburgers and like fish or whatever. I don't know.
Did the chicken tenders come with like the classic like it has the tray but then like a paper thing? My pet peeve, like I don't mind people eating, but if you have the most obnoxious like candy, it's like a pet peeve of mine. I get it. It is what it is, but like I swear like. There needs to be an unwritten rule that at least I apply on myself.
Well, there was no one in this theater besides us and a couple people.
Open it during the trailers. Open it during the trailers.
Yeah.
I hate when people be opening shit during like clearly like a quiet part of the movie.
Well, there's no decorum anymore in movie theaters. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And hey, you know what? Maybe there never was. To be fair, maybe we're doing the thing of like when I was a kid. I didn't recognize any problems.
I think also the timeline too is that cell phones have become more and more and more and more and more and more. So like, 10 years ago, someone had cell phones, but I think our freaking TikTok brains are all broken now. So like people just can't not look at their phone for 40 minutes or whatever, how long, so.
Yeah, it is what it is. No, the chicken tenders from what I saw came in that classic like, hard stock cardboard red and white hashed thing, and there was probably a like paper layer in it with the chicken tenders and the fries.
So be like after you're done just like making a bunch of noise like if you wanted to.
This was pretty empty, and the seats were spaced, like the rows were spaced and elevated like AMC kind of does for some of their more vertical
usually they're
theater rooms.
Dolby ones. Oh, the one we go to is a little bit still older, but
I've gone
newer
ones.
have been,
the only AMC that can appear on the app for me, that's 40 minutes away, is like a very long theater where it is not vertical. So there's that where like basically it's like a shallow step every 5 feet is the Rex row versus the ones that are like you're going up and up. So that's what this was like. But Apple Cinemas has 2 ways of, I don't think, maybe three. But like there's two formats they do. There's ACX, Apple Cinema's Experience, which is not defined on their website. I had to look elsewhere to see what that means.
Great job, guys.
But it's a laser projector, so it is better than a standard projector, but it's not Dolby Vision, but it is Dolby Audio. And they cranked that shit up to 11. When the Superman trailer played, it was thunderous. It was loud. That was like the only trailer that was played, by the way. There was a lot of just commercials in between a couple of the commercials.
Was your Superman? My Superman trailer had like an extended scene. Like
the dog was beating the fuck out of him at the beginning of this trailer.
Yeah, mine like turned into like a whole scene, and then the trailer popped up, and I'm like, I don't remember this from before. Sure, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably new, right? Because the movie comes out in July.
Well, I know Legendary has done that in the past with like some other movies. They'll show like an extended scene and then show the trailer to kind of get you
I liked
vibes.
it. It made me like the movie that I wanted to go see more. Because I was kind of semi-hyped for the Superman movie, and I'm like, hey, this looks a little bit more charming than I was expecting.
Superman.
So, there's ACX, and then there's ScreenX, which I don't fully understand. Because movies aren't shot in panorama, but that's how they're presenting it, where there's like the screen, right?
Yeah.
And then like, let's say my face here is the screen, right? And then like coming out along like at an angle, like some E3 conferences might have been like, if you're a video gamer, or like at an angle, like equally sized screens.
It's like a curved screen.
But it's not
almost,
curved. It is
not curved.
Flat. It is the flat and then two more coming
What's
out.
it called again?
ScreenX.
Well, maybe their goal is to have it be like the Everything app, and they're going to have your Twitter feed
and still just be Twitter
on the left and right side, so that you don't miss a moment. He
told his employees to delete their banking apps because in a year from that time, if they were going to use the fucking Twitter app, insane.
You're only going to be paid in stock. Don't worry, guys, that will work.
Oh yes, of course. I mean, to be fair, that is what most of his net worth is. So yeah, that was my experience. I just want to throw that out there. I finally get to go see movies in a theater that is new. I will say, they have that new startup feel to them, where like they're putting out dough on the materials of the floor and the walls to look nice, and they have that like very modern, stark, echoey spaces of modernity and clean look to the whole thing, but they're in a space that's bigger than what they have to fill with. So there's a lot of like the lobby is huge and mostly empty, and all the concessions are on the one side. You know what I mean?
To be fair, I don't know how many people hang out at movie theaters much anymore. I mean, back in the day, it was like you sometimes showed up an hour before your movie started, and you would like.
There's arcade machines
early or
and stuff
whatever.
Like that,
and hang out there, shoot the
but
shit or whatever for an hour. But like now it's like the AMC I have is definitely was an older theater, because I looked it up because it looks like a Chinese theater, like play theater, on the outside. And I looked it up, and it was originally made because it was inspired by another theater in L.A. at the time, and they owned it for a long time, but then AMC bought it. But then I've gone there, but like, yeah, even the Dolby one they have the reclining chairs, and the only issue I have at that theater is we did this one in IMAX. Luckily the movie wasn't that long, but it's like normal chairs in that IMAX theater.
The stadium,
so it's a little old school. Yeah, stadium seating.
Because like at this point now, they're charging that much for tickets. It was like $54 for these 3 tickets that I got or something when I booked them online.
I mean, I wouldn't get IMAX
want a more comfortable seat.
I wouldn't get IMAX unless if I didn't have the A-list. Like it was like it's just the free in that way. But the one AMC that I think is more recent, it's got to be recent because my friends who've lived here their entire lives are like, I'd never gone to this one until we started going to it, because it's a little bit more centralized for both of us. Like it's kind of meeting in the middle. But it's in downtown Denver, and it's like the most corporate theater I've ever seen. Like you come in, they check your ticket, then you go up an escalator into
I remember you telling me that.
This open lobby, and then there's the drinks and stuff, and there is actually like seating where you can sit, but there's like a bar right there, And the one on that we go that's closer to us, the Chinese theater one, they do have a bar, but it's like really small, and there's a little couple seats there, but it's nothing big. But there, it's like much bigger. And then even the smallest theater that we've gone in, at least the one that I think is the smallest in there, we haven't gone that many times, but it's like the first one. It's supposed to be like a regular digital, and that theater is as big and like you said has like it's more indented and wider and long and taller. Like that one was I feel like bigger than just our regular Dolby at the one down the street from us or whatever. So it's interesting, but that one was like very corporate, like flat, like very like kind of how you're describing. It's I don't know if I like it. I do like our Chinese theater. Like yeah, it looks old,
I like
but
the
like
carpet.
it's cool.
I like a carpet. I like a movie theater carpet. Like that goes a long way. I like having the older movie posters, within the glass case with the lights around it. I like that type of stuff. I sent you some photos. I could have taken more, but of like the lobby, I didn't really take any of the lobby because there were a couple people in there. I don't like taking photos of that people could be in. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Because I personally don't like when I'm in a photo like that. But yeah, very, very stark, and I guess corporate is a way I would describe it. Another stupid pet peeve. I'm sorry, we stopped talking about the movie
we'll get
like
back.
20
we'll
minutes
get
ago.
We'll get back to
The freaking bathroom, whatever. They don't have the paper towels. Okay, fine. It is the air thingy, and it's not a Dyson. It's one that'll actually work. But it is right up against the counter, at level with the counter. But like just barely not. So like your hand is kind of bumping into the counter as you're like trying to dry it off. There's so much wall space.
I'm a paper towel guy. I'm like I will avoid the air ones because I have big hands, long hands more specifically. So like the Dyson ones where you stick your hand in, there's been many times where I feel like I just wash my hands and I just touch the bottom of it because I have to like I don't know how the depth is, or I just mess it up.
At my work,
like,
we have a different kind of Dyson ones where it is you're not sticking your hands into something, you're going under, and it's like V-shaped, and that works fine enough. But then I kind of just
I'll do that one, but like the ones where you stick your hands in, that shit's nasty, dude. I might as well just walk with wet hands. I feel like it's probably cleaner.
You know what else is nasty? The Nether in a Minecraft movie.
Yes. Nasty
spoiler time.
Nasty women down there in the Nether.
I was not expecting this movie to just be the Warcraft movie. With our necromancer villain and the army that is a portal away from
Malgosha.
Like literally, we destroyed our own world, but this portal will take us to an undestroyed world that we can easily take over, and we need to get.
That kind of sounds familiar. Like I heard there's some guy who wants to go to Mars, and
God,
this world.
I thought you were actually like. Whatever. No, he doesn't actually want that. He just wants investment money. That's how that works. Yes. You promise, you don't deliver. This movie, whatever. Like, what did we think about like any specifics? I will say.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
All right, fine.
Fine.
No, Malgosha. I actually kind of liked the villain. She was a little like goofy. But I'll like in terms of like design and like visual effects, I feel like she looked the best out of everything in this movie. Like the cloak that she had, I couldn't tell at points because I looked it up. There is a creature performer.
There's
for her.
Movement to that character that is way more realistic than the other.
But even like the cloak that she had, I was unsure if it was like, and I didn't, like I said, I only looked up to see if they had a creature performer. They do. I didn't see if like there's any like photos or anything, but I was curious if like the creature performer played by Alan Henry for Malgosha was wearing an actual cloak, and then they have, sure they have like the dots and stuff, but I wonder if it's a cloak and then the dots, or maybe a combination of both, because the cloak on her like looked super real to me, and I was like getting like confused. I was like, I mean, obviously the monster part of her is CG, but I'm like,
wait,
is
really?
The cloaks is the cloak CG? I don't know. So I wanted to shout out that design. I think that's why I'm a bit higher on the effects, just because Malgosha just really impressed me throughout the movie, where I'm like, she looks sick. And I also liked how she kind of starts off as your traditional evil like person, evil bad guy or whatever, but she eventually has more jokes here and there, and then I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
the
you know what?
finale
Screw
for
it.
that character, I'm like, this was a joke that I didn't make me laugh. How it ends with the whole, you're just going to try to stab me with the secret knife. And she does it twice, almost going to try to do it 3 times. Like,
She tries
I
to
just
throw
found
it
that
at the end,
clever.
yeah.
I just found it clever. Or I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, you actually are doing the thing, and I appreciate that. I didn't find it funny, but like, I like that. And like, listen, this movie is very shallow in trying to have character arcs, or even just like
That's one of my critiques of this
they try
film.
to give Malgosha a tragic backstory, but like they barely touched it. So it's like, well, I still don't give a shit.
I feel like that's the issue. One of my biggest issues with this film is that like everyone's trying to get like redemption or like to prove their worth or like their. So like I'll just go kind of down the list here. So like Garrett, Jason Momoa, he's clearly broke or had his heyday, and he's basically just living in the coattails.
Loser. I mean, he's I will say this very obviously, and this is shockingly, if and I'm saying this ironically, shockingly common for we want to have someone from the 80s in a video game style thing. They always make a Billy Mitchell. He was the Donkey Kong and Pac-Man high score champion, but he cheated, or did he? And blah blah blah. He actually won a defamation case just recently, so I'm gonna watch what I say. He used an emulator for some records. He didn't actually cheat. He just wasn't using the legit way of doing something. I don't know, whatever. Like that's clearly who he's trying, like what they're trying to emulate. But then also, I did appreciate. I don't know if this was intended or not. When they do like the flashback of him younger in his heyday, he looks like John Romero from Doom, from id, from John Romero Games currently, with the long hair and just the face. Whoever they got to play young Jason Momoa in them, like you look like John Romero, the good Doom John daddy, because the other John is weird. Yeah, sorry. But I could actually say out of all the characters, I found his characterization and an arc the most done.
That's what I was going to say. He had the most done. I still feel like it was rushed. And so, yeah, he has that arc of, like you said, he's in the heyday, and he's kind of putting up a front the entire time until about maybe the 2/3 mark, maybe a little bit before that, where Henry, our young kid there, kind of calls him out for being an asshole, and then he gets mad at him, but then they kind of quickly get through that. Any conflicts that happened don't really hit in this.
We brush by them. Yeah.
Even for a kids movie, I think they could still have been done way better. We've said in the show, kids are smarter than we think they are. They can understand. They can character growth.
Listen,
and plot points
phrase
and all those
emotional
things.
Intelligence was used in this movie, and that's the perfect phrase, because kids can pick up on this stuff. We think that they're dumb, and then they cannot recognize maybe subtle things unless they are told, hey, you should look out for this. But they are, they have an emotional intelligence, that they should be given credit for, to what you have to say there.
But yeah, no, I agree. Garrett, still, I don't think it was fully fleshed out. They could have done way more, but it was probably the most solidified, or at least attempts, where I feel like there was a start and a beginning. Steve, I feel like doesn't really grow at all. Like he just is. Henry, it works, but I'll say this: I appreciate the message that he's kind of given. Like Henry is supposed to be, I feel like, the kid watching this movie. If you're watching this movie and you're getting picked on at school because of creativity, I don't know.
There's a lot of movies that have had that character, though. Shark Boy and fucking Lava Girl has that type of character in it. So many of that. This might be
their Lava Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I'm not gonna say the message is bad because
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
I agree. I was gonna say I agree with the message. Like I don't know. I remember in middle school, people would make fun of me because I dare use the word yeah, dude, I have a big imagination, and somehow that's a fucking bad thing, So I feel it. I'm I think it's good to have these kind of stories, even if they've been done before. However, the execution wasn't fully there, but I'm at least it's there, and it could have not been the case. I feel like if I'm ranking it so far, it's Garrett, Henry in terms of, and then Steve. But then we get to Natalie, who at one point says something in front of Henry, and then they're mad at each other. But then they never encounter each other for the entire movie until the end, and it doesn't really feel validating
that thing that they said. You know what I mean?
Or it doesn't really feel like they grow. It just felt like when
I'm glad you're not dead.
I mean, well, I mean, like, and I get like they're younger. She's the older sister and he's the young brother there, but it just feels like when two kids get mad at each other, and then like an hour goes by and they're best friends again. Like that's what it felt like, their relationship throughout this whole movie, and not in a way that is good. You know what I mean? Like this.
Hey,
this
is
supposed
what
to be
this
like
reminded me of? I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I think this is important. You know what this reminded me of? The brother and sister in Five Nights at Freddy's, but more shallow.
Way more shallow. Yeah.
You know.
I mean, there's
I guess
a whole
different
like,
age gap as well. To be fair, you know, they
yeah,
seem
I mean,
like
she
they
has
might
a
be
job.
6 or 7.
She does
I got
my
the
job,
impression
by
that
the
she.
way.
Yes, I was wondering what you thought about that. I got the impression that she might be like 21 and he is like 15. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I felt they were both younger than that, and I was like, oh, she's like, I'm like, okay, she's old enough to drive, but I'm just like, oh, wait, you're getting a job? I'm like, okay, like I don't know, it just didn't like hit for me, but whatever. Their relationship didn't feel connected enough for them to be like brother and sister, like we've been together, we're going through a tough time. It kind of just felt like, because even from the beginning of the movie, she goes to the job, he goes to school, he destroys the chip thing, which is goofy as hell. I appreciate that they made the town really goofy. I think it just helped. I think if they made the town super serious and like all that stuff super serious, it would have made them going to Minecraft Silly Land, way too
fair.
big of a jump. I think that's
you gotta
what helps
show
with
the
this
real
movie.
world being, a little more boring than the fantasy isekai you're gonna have your characters jump into.
But I think they did a good job of like still having the real world be kind of goofy and ridiculous, but still grounded enough. But didn't so that the tones didn't like, go against each other, because I feel like that's happened in, these kind of types of movies. Where they go to a different dimension or whatever, and all of a sudden the dimension's like way out of pocket, and it's just completely different. Then it feels jarring sometimes. But yeah, Natalie's character, I wanted more, but we just really like she kind of just doesn't do much.
Yeah.
Then
when
Dawn,
she just all of a sudden is doing well with a weapon, and then that becomes like, it's the very corny type of ending of like everyone has a new, slightly similar life based on something they realized during the events of this movie, and that's their entire life for the rest of their life, or at least that's how it's set up. Like they found their calling. She's a martial arts instructor, but like she just beats them up with a stick. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
like that was just
that didn't feel real. It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't work because they just didn't show her much. Dawn, played by Danielle Brooks. Danielle Brooks from Peacemaker. I loved her in Peacemaker.
okay.
And soon to hopefully get season 2 here. While John Cena gets that big W over Cody Rhodes, hopefully sooner than later. Anyways, Dawn, she was just fine. I've just felt.
Sorry, I
like
whispered
she
the
just
word
kinda-
nerd, but I did that way too quietly, and now I've made it awkward.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know what you said, so I was just gonna be like, maybe his mic picked it up better.
It probably
than Discord
didn't.
did.
I might have just mouthed it and like just breathed. And that might have been that. Sorry, please go on.
Yeah, Dawn was just fine. I once again, I connecting back to like the town thing of being goofy. She's clearly one of the goofier characters in terms of like having the pet, the pet car thing. Also, this is the second movie with a llama for Jared Hess, because llamas are a big thing in
Nacho Libre.
Napoleon Dynamite. But yeah, I just thought her characters was fine. But I mean, her and Natalie like have their own like side quest, but to find them and
when we didn't go back to it. That was almost a more of like the one thing they did was find Dennis, the dog. They find the wolf,
Yes.
and that was it. But then we spend so much more time with the boys. You know what I mean? Where it felt like they just wanted to keep them out of it so that they, you know what I mean? Like, It was a little. It felt like there was probably scenes that they cut. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So maybe the director's cut will have 30 more minutes.
Hey, you know what? I would watch
Dawn
that.
and
I would be
Natalie.
curious. You know what I mean?
We've never had a video game. No, we have, but they're like short. But I want like a full like.
You want the
director to
Snyder
come
cut?
out. Yeah, we need a Snyder cut
yeah.
of a video game movie. I don't know which one, but sure, let's have
Postal.
Minecraft. No. I don't want that. But I think that's like our main characters. Then we had like a B plot, which I kind of appreciated. I don't think it was fully executed well, but it was funny enough to keep it lighthearted. With the vice principal Marlene there, played by
You
Jennifer
call
Coolidge.
that a B plot? That's like an H plot. That's like because here's the
B-plot.
thing.
It was really important to the story.
Here's the thing. And I trailers or talk about the movie from like a couple months ago for people who maybe saw scenes at a con or something like that, referenced what this was, but like the stupid villager guy just unknown to any of the other characters just walks through that portal at the beginning of the movie and like just finds her, and then that's it. It's unrelated completely. A B plot
baby.
ties back into the A plot at the end of the movie. This does not. This was a gag that they just kept cutting back to.
No, dude.
And I appreciate her. And the only joke that actually got a chuckle out of me was, no, actually, I think he's Swedish, but we're done with the meal. I'm like, that worked for me.
My audience liked that one too. Me and Bryn laughed.
And that was in the credits, to be fair, too. It's technically not even in the movie. Yeah, I would argue if you're, but
no,
still.
the end credits was when he speaks English.
You're right. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. I guess I'll just go kill myself. I'm not going to do that.
Oh.
You can always get help if you, blah, blah, blah. If you ever get yelled
No,
at your phone.
no, I'm saying it's a B plot because what's at the end credits? That, okay? Sure. Well, I guess the credit scene, there was an end credits scene. We'll get to that, but I did like that she hits him with the car and then says, "Oh, not again."
Yeah.
Just kind of crazy. I liked that. So this town is definitely a little wacky. But it's in Idaho, so I don't know if Idaho would be like that. And there's some other minor characters: Daryl Bruce, HR person,
minor characters.
Mr. Gunchi, which is technically her husband there. General Chungus. Oh, that was played by Jared Hess, the director. There we go. A little TIL
he was the
there.
bigger pig guy?
The one who had he was always like apologizing.
Right.
When
he dies.
Yeah. It's actually not that big of a cast here. But maybe we will move on to like, because I feel like we talked a little bit, or you mentioned it a little bit earlier in the non-spoilers, but not that we're doing spoilers, like music. Because one of our critiques of the first two Sonic movies was the lack of Sonic music, and arguably a game known probably for its music, its first or second thing. Like when people think of Sonic the Hedgehog, you put music somewhere in the top 3, right?
Yep.
Minecraft, for me at least, I always found the music, obviously calming, and I appreciated it. Like when I heard the soft piano immediately pop up in the movie, I was like, cool, because that resonates with me. I liked that. I always liked that theme of the piano. But then we don't really get too much of it. We got some hair metal, which I will appreciate because that's the stuff I grew up listening to. But for the sake of a video game movie, we don't always have to do licensed music. Super Mario Brothers, it had licensed music throughout it.
Yeah.
Quite more than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Once again, for a game franchise that's known for its music. I would get it if this was Five Nights at Freddy's and you're just
I would get it if this
soundtrack.
game was from the 80s. They played hair metal stuff because of the characters living in the past, not because of the video game itself but yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, I will say this, my perspective on the Minecraft music. I respect it. Again, I like the composer's recent work, but his style of music fits this other game, Wanderstop, way more than Minecraft to me. Obviously, I'm wrong about that, I guess. But to me, like, Minecraft, I don't know, the music didn't feel structured enough. I want to be like motivated to like be doing stuff. I actually find the calming aspect of the music to be like antithetical to how I play the game
That's
when I
interesting.
did play it. So that's just I'm probably in a huge or a tiny minority, a minority of minorities there.
A huge minority.
Because kids go crazy over the Minecraft music, and there's been other composers as well. The Celeste composer Lena Raine did a very popular Minecraft song years ago, and that was in this movie. I saw it in the credits.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I didn't recognize the song.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say I recognized piano. I think there was some point during like one of the night time I've heard something there. I couldn't remember the exact part, but I guess another part of music though is sound effects. I appreciate that they did use the game sound effects. I think it's one of those movies you can get away with that. I feel like if it's some other video game movies, like where maybe it's from an era like the 90s where maybe it'd be too jarring to have, like an 8-bit sound effect with something.
Sure, square waves popping all over the place.
But for this, it works because they're in the world, Jumanji style. So like it works.
Yeah, the zombies. I felt like that was just the sound effects of what the zombies were played a lot, and that's.
But the skeletons, which are always my like favorite, I guess, creature in Minecraft, because I always like when they die, you just hear like bones, like falling or whatever.
Yeah,
I always thought that was cool. But even I think the Enderman sounded like it from the game, so if I'm not mistaken. I thought the Enderman was cool, by the way. I liked how they kind of showed that.
Yeah,
and he fought it and killed it. But yeah, I liked a lot of the sound. I also noticed there was a lot of times when a character would like whip his head, and like Momoa would whip his head or whatever. They did more of a cartoon kind of sound effect where it would go. I noticed a lot of that.
Any of that. I guess I wasn't
that
paying
little
attention.
stuff. When I don't know, I just felt that was interesting. What else? There was music and
I will say while you're trying to think of stuff, one thing that I'm going to throw this out as a disappointment. And like this isn't a fair disappointment, so whatever. I like the idea of movies being clever, and when a movie like or I guess in the case of this is a movie presents an opportunity to do something that would be clever, that's unique to what has going on. I want them to take it. Prime example, Star Wars, beloved character Luke Skywalker, Last Jedi. I liked what they did with that character. A shame Disney got cold feet. You know what I mean? Like, very unique. How many other movies get that opportunity? You know what I mean? Of like having someone that freaking our parents' generation but was beloved and have to find disappointing. You know what I mean? That was a unique opportunity. This video game movie, right, a movie based on a video game, has a unique opportunity because this is based off a video game that is still current and still getting updates, still getting things added to it, right? We've seen a lot of, like, Sonic the Hedgehog, we'll get new games. Mario will get new games, you know what I mean? Like, the Donkey Kong design from the movie is pretty much, it's closer to the new Donkey Kong video game design than the Rare design that we had been using for a while. Like, yes, there's that stuff going on, but this is a forever game, that's been going on for over a decade now, that gets all these updates to it. And I thought I was kind of hoping to see, I thought it'd be a unique opportunity to have a character create something, or maybe an enemy is around, or something that is not in the game that then they add in because of the movie. You know what I mean?
Wasn't I don't remember his gun being...
Or there's the gun, right? But like,
I don't remember the gun being in the game, at least when I played it about 2 years ago now.
And it's been longer for me. I don't think there are guns in the game, to be fair, but that was a very, it's a tater tot gun thing. Like, maybe that'll be the thing. And like, okay, cool. But like, I thought there'd be a unique opportunity to be like, Jack Black has a signature thing he's made, right? A cool weapon or something like that, or maybe a material type that isn't in the game that then, like, Shadow Drop update, It's in the game now. There's this thing from the movie. That would be cool. Instead, we're just gonna get probably a Jack Black skin, and then you can because Minecraft has like microtransactions now or something, right? Like
I don't know.
There's a skin store, I think.
I mean, in Minecraft, when I played, like I found like an Among Us and then Master Chief skins, and that's what I was. And then
Fair.
I had someone, or I had a friend of my former Twitch chat there, Zed. He made like Bloomberg into the sun and moon, so like Bloomberg would rise out of the sky.
Okay, mods. Yeah,
mods. But like, so I'm sure people can do that too from the movie at some point. In a way, I think it's a testament to the community because it's a game that has the ability and they accept that like you can do that. I was gonna say, but yeah, the gun there. I think maybe you could have added like another world they have that, or a biome even that maybe doesn't exist yet, and then you can have it in the movie and be like, "Yep, that's right. This biome's coming this summer."
Yeah.
I will say, in terms of merchandising, though, I guess not the exact same thing, but I do appreciate they have the action figures of Jack Black. I think that's goofy as hell, and it's gonna be funny to see kids like have that, like just being like, you know what I mean? Like they'll think that of Steve. Like they'll think that's what Steve just permanently looks like, and it'll just be Jack Black wearing a green T-shirt and jeans. I guess we can maybe go to the end credit thing.
Whatever. I was hoping Ruben the Pig from Minecraft Story
somewhat
Mode.
of an inside joke for us, but
inside joke. Kids the kids of the Minecraft kids, when that Telltale game came out, they hated that because they never played the Walking Dead game or any of that stuff. So like the idea of a story, like it was called Story Mode on purpose. I get it, but like
right.
they memed and hated that, and of course trailers for this movie came out, and those kids are all older now. They're like, maybe we were like that was like the pig dies. In the game,
Ruben the pig.
You know what I mean?
Man.
I don't know. It would have been funny. Yes, what Devin is referring to, the end credits is Alex, the default female.
They don't show her face. They pull the tails in a way where they're like, we don't want to commit to an actress in case we actually do
Tails
make a sequel.
had a voice. It was Shadow that didn't.
Well, no, I was gonna say they weren't sure if it was gonna be. Like, the design wasn't fully final because they did update it. And they didn't know if it was going to be Colleen there or not. So they it was just more...
Sure.
It's easier to do that with a character you animate versus a human being.
Because
it'd been funny if they just got completely different woman.
Which is what they're going to do, right? It's just what they're going to do. They're going to find someone else. Yeah, I'm like, I don't really... I guess that is just implying that they would like to do another movie. They would want to do another movie if the money is there anyway.
I don't know if they're gonna either based off. Well, like I said, the reviews coming from some higher end stuff, whatever. But
it just depends on the box office. You know what I mean?
Office.
You know, if they find it worthy of it.
I could see people not even going to the movies if they hear it's bad. That's just how it works sometimes. But we'll see. It's a weird time right now with movies. Everyone, it's getting closer to that. You know, the summer time where I think it's like May is really when you start getting those big blockbusters. So, hey, we have another video game movie though coming up, competing with this in a way. Until Dawn.
Yeah, it's soon.
It's not competing with each other. Rated R movie with blood and gore.
But they might be in theaters at the same time. At the very least, that is.
And that's a movie. That I think people who don't even play the games or know anything about the games the marketing I think is decent enough that people will be like, oh, I'm going to go see that.
To be fair, I think the same thing of Minecraft. There's definitely going to be adults who will be like, I've never played this game. Yeah, I'm fine.
Maybe for
seeing
Jack
this movie.
Black and Jason Momoa, maybe, but I think a title like Until Dawn for like a horror movie just in general, I think just works.
But no one actually goes to see horror movies. They all suck and
disagree.
And no one actually
disagree.
You know,
I have to disagree with that. I'm
gonna report you to the.
I'm gonna report you to the feds. There was the one. There was. I was gonna say real quick about Ruben the Pig before we leave, but there was the one line, and I only know of this because a friend texted me about it, but I also did see something on Twitter about it, where there was like a Minecraft YouTuber who passed away, but he did like see the movie before he passed away, or like that was one of his like last wishes. I don't know if that scene was in it when he saw it or whatnot, but the pig wearing the crown
I
is
figured
like
that was something like that.
it was a I guess that's like was his logo or something like that. And so that like him saying, "Oh, he was a legend," I think it was like a nice tip of the hat. So I'm like, I didn't know the guy, but from what I've read, like briefly read, I'm like, that's cool. I appreciate that they did that. I think that's a cool way to. Once again, I think there is that element of celebrating the community there a little bit. So, like you said, it's bigger than just the game itself. It's
Right.
the community around the game. But also,
Yep.
I'm very curious though to see. I mean, we'll probably know in a week or so like what people who like are actually in the Minecraft community think about this movie, because I like I said at the top, this movie is a kids movie and I think it should be graded on as a kids movie. But at the same time, Minecraft came out 15 something years ago. Would someone who's 18, 19, 20, my brother's age 25 who grew up grew up with Minecraft, like we obviously in a way kind of we were in college-ish by that point, but still the target audience is kids. How many Minecraft kids are there in comparison to that era of like kids who
Right.
are now kids at that point, or maybe teens
Right.
or adults at that point. So I'm very curious how it's gonna be like received. But I also agree,
It's
like what
part
we
of that
said.
new wave of like games that are new that are getting movies. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
Until Dawn is similar, but not like the kids weren't going after that. You know what I mean?
right.
It
So I'm very
wasn't.
curious how it's gonna be received, but. I want to echo at what we said in the beginning, where like I at least and I think you said it too, where like the humor and all that, or the whole movie itself, I didn't find it cringe like I thought it was gonna be. Like
Yep.
Borderlands was cringe. This movie felt like, nope, this is a kids movie. This isn't for really me. At the end of the day, I still had somewhat fun with it, and didn't feel like my hour and 45 minutes was a waste or anything. I didn't feel like I lost money on this or anything like that. It's just it was fun. So like whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm very curious how like the Minecraft people are gonna,
For sure.
I guess, like look at this, because I can easily see how someone who's 19, 20 years old who maybe played a little bit of Minecraft when he was a kid goes and sees it and is like, oh, that was fucking stupid. That was so cringe, bro. They don't know what
Hey,
they're
they
doing.
deserve to have that happen to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? You need to have something like that. I think I said in an episode that's coming out after this one, that so much 80s trash recycled in theaters now, and we barely have some of our stuff, you know what I mean, of our generation's stuff in popular culture. Because, like, once something is made into a movie, then all of a sudden it's like legit to a lot of people, if that makes sense. It's made it. It's as the best it could ever be. That's why we see a lot of people still think that like, oh, this game needs a movie adaptation. If that's somehow like the peak of like cultural,
Validation in a sense.
validation, right? Like, no, it doesn't. Need to beat that. Pac-Man can be Pac-Man, and Pac-Man is better at being Pac-Man than most movies are at being the movie that they're at, because it's just a different medium. You know what I mean? We don't need a Pac-Man movie, but if we want, then we would. Well, who was our guy in that Pac-Man movie pitch?
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. That's
and
right.
I think the pitch was one of my favorite episodes.
He's a gambler.
He's a gambler in Vegas. And he's wearing a yellow shirt with red pants or something, like to tie into Pac-Man. And we make him that he's addicted to drugs, and maybe he sees ghosts or something. We try to like do it very like
sure,
kind of avant-garde a little bit. Like we want it to be like A24, like definitely like more of a drama about him like going crazy in Vegas. and he calls himself the Pac-Man or something like that.
Or maybe he's referred, whatever. But that's the only type Pac-Man movie I want to see made. But as a Minecraft movie, I think this was fine. I think this was okay. It could have been a heck of a lot better. It could have been a whole lot better. It could have been worse. You know what I mean?
It could have been the floor.
If we
could
were
have been.
the younger people you're describing, we would be disappointed and say this movie is bad. But because we just didn't have that, like that's just not what this game means to us. It hits us differently. You know what I mean? Like that first Sonic movie, you know, I was like, this is better than I thought, but I am disappointed. You know what I mean? I could tell you this right now: the younger generation was not disappointed with the Sonic movies at all. You know what I mean?
Especially the third one. I feel like we were like enemies of the state for like
yeah.
for just saying, hey, it was good, but like in a way it's also the worst one. Like
in some lights, yeah.
yeah, and it was interesting. But
we need to put a score on this.
Hell yeah, we do.
We're probably gonna say the same thing.
Maybe we'll see.
You know, I think this is a very obvious okay film. I would give this a C for craft in Minecraft.
See, that's a lot higher than I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to give this like a high E or low D.
No, and maybe some of it is because of the company it would keep if it was an E, or I'm like, no, this isn't Borderlands bad. You know, like, and even D, it's like, yeah, I made an allusion to Warcraft earlier, but like, there's some clever things in here. There's some again, I liked Jason Momoa. I forgot to bring this up, but like, I like the fact that like he isn't addicted to the kid right away. You know what I mean? Like, at all. Like, he actually is like, yeah, I could see myself mentoring this kid because he has no one in his life. You know, like, there's that elements, but like, you know, the types of D movies like Warcraft are like, this is just boring and it doesn't really have much going on, but it's not like offensively bad or anything like that.
Do you actually have the thing? I don't know if you made a scene for it, but
let's see if I can.
Because in case this is someone's first time watching, they're like, why are they just saying letters and like C out of what?
You know what? I can't pull this up.
All right, well, I can read it. And people will have to use their imagination. So yeah, here on the Sonic movie show, we've done this like 50 times now at this point plus. And if you watch our, I mean, I guess this is the regular podcast, but like we have a last 2 seasons of this show, we've done a fantasy video game movie thing where we draft movies.
I guess I got ahead of myself here, huh?
Yeah, we got a set of movies. No, you're good.
It's late. I have to go to work in less than 8 hours.
I haven't said what mine is yet, so there's some tension there. But basically, yeah, we have like a set schedule of older video game movies because we're trying to catch up, but also kind of making a fun thing out of it. But you can watch all those episodes for some we have our friend David on there too, and there's some fun little games we do within the whole thing. Like we said, there's a fantasy football kind of style thing to it, and there's a game show at the end. I recommend that. But anyways, S through F. You know, we're S rank. That's our channel name. But here on the Sonic Movie Show, we grade our video game movies on a curve. I mentioned that briefly earlier. But S through F, so S, A, B, C, D, E, and F. We put a video game movie somewhere on there. And over the years, it's maybe changed here and there in between the tiers. Sometimes it changes over time. But for the most part, we always get closer and closer to a definition the more movies we add to this. And sometimes it's tough, sometimes it's really easy. Sometimes there are debates. But S is the top tier. This is the special sauce. This is a special video game movie that we highly, highly recommend. Even maybe just as a general movie. It doesn't have to be looking at a video game movie. And like I said, S through F is on a video game movie curve. So maybe an S tier movie might be just a C tier movie for you. That's fine. Whatever. But S, we have movies like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is on there. We have Prince of Persia. Did we put Detective Pikachu in that? That might be A. Whatever. Prince of Persia, I remember for sure. And then we had Sonic Movie 2 on there. We just did Gran Turismo. It's on there. Tetris is in there. Then we get to A, which is still pretty fantastic. Very, very great. Maybe just is missing that special something to get to S rank. And we have movies, I think the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie's on there. We have, I think the first Resident Evil movie might be in there. Trying to think of what else is in A tier. So much harder when I don't have the thing in front of me.
Right. I mean, you could pull up the spreadsheet, I guess. But...
I could. But yeah, A is great. I think it's the easiest
Neko
one word.
Atsume House was an A.
It was an A. There's that one. Then we have B, which is more good than bad. That ratio of how much can kind of vary, but for me, it's always been kind of like 60% is the minimum of good, and then 40% bad. And usually the good feels way more effective, or just feels right compared to the negatives. Maybe that negative 40 or whatever just isn't the end of the world. C is for our okay movies, our kind of average, our run of the mill. Most of our movies fall here for whatever reason. It's just worked out that way. It's kind of like a weird bell curve we have. And excuse me. Here we have like half of the live action Resident Evil movies in there. We have the Tomb Raider movies in there. These are movies, like I said, are just okay. They could still be. I don't know if I'd recommend all of them. Maybe that's like the higher C's. But for the most part, they're just okay movies. They're fine. Then we get to D, which is movies that are considered more bad than good. The opposite of B, reversed there. So maybe it's 60% bad, 40% good. And unfortunately, the bad outweighs the good. So it just doesn't get into that C where it's okay. It's mostly not necessarily a bad movie, but it could be, it's just a disappointing, or the start of, not the start of bad, but like a just, it's, you know. Then we get to, after D, we get to E. And this is where we say for like bad, where it's like, don't watch this movie. We don't recommend this for sure. There's little to none in there that we like. This is our bad tier. And luckily, not most of our movies fall here, but there is some notable ones that people, I'm sure, are familiar with if you look at that list.
Borderlands.
Then we get Borderlands is in there. Then we say, and you're wondering, well, isn't there one more? Yes, you are right. There's F. Why isn't more? Is that super bad? Yes and no. F we say for movies that are so bad, so awful, and downright offensive. And I mean that in the sense, like, why did this get made? This is uncomfortable to watch. Not only don't recommend it, don't even steal this movie. Don't even think about this movie. All right, even me talking about it is heresy. We only have one movie here, and it's Postal by Uwe Boll. If you've seen it, you might know why.
Man,
that's all I'm going to leave it at.
You know, if Borderlands was racist at all, it would be F tier.
Probably. That's a close.
You know
it's definitely the bottom of
I
E tier.
spiritually want to throw it in the F tier, but like, because it's not. I mean, that movie review is long since gone. We can't go back on anything we've ever said. That's how it works. You're committed. But yeah, I don't know. Postal, awful movie. So you know, I think this is a C tier film. Devin is going to say what he thinks it is, and if we're close enough, then we figure out where it actually is for the sake of channel. And I need to write this down, whatever we do decide.
Yeah,
so I can add to the thing.
I think coming into the call, I was in a D, just because, like, as a kids movie, it's okay. As a video game movie, I think it is bad. It just doesn't. It's just looking, or I guess I don't have the list in front of me, like I said, but just off the top of the dome, like, I'm just thinking of, like, is it as good? I don't even know how to use that word. Is that the same level as the Tomb Raider movies or the Resident Evil movies or all the movies in the C? I know C is our widest scale, I feel like, out of all the tiers, but I'm just trying to think of, like, why.
If I can defend, I guess
I'm not saying against C. I'm right now.
Here's why I think it's C and
D,
not D. Here's why I think it's C and not D. D is usually meaning boring. A lot of the movies in there have a boring element of it. And, like, I did like, not a crazy amount, but I liked the Jason Momoa character. I liked some of how the Minecraft elements were kind of brought in. I guess I liked that, even though I don't really recognize a lot of the stuff beyond the base elements of Minecraft, that there was, all right, this enemy's in it, and this enemy's in it, and this thing is in it, and then this thing is in it, and this thing is in it, and this thing is in it. I do respect all that stuff. To me, I wasn't bored watching this movie. I just wasn't super entertained. But I wasn't like, again, we talked about the fact that we weren't cringing at the jokes. Like, the jokes were more miss. And while I do think jokes aimed at kids can still be found funny and humorous by adults, there is that caveat to it, I suppose, that, perhaps they weren't aimed at us. I just feel like, and I don't know if this is fair. If David was here, he would say it's not fair to judge the potential spot of the movie based on the company it would keep there at D tier. But I just don't see it as like that low. Maybe it's a lower C. You C is a very wide girth, dearth.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. And I don't know.
I'm looking
But
back. I finally
could go
pulled it
down
up.
to D. I guess I'm not like.
Yeah, I mean,
that
here's what's
strong.
in here's what's in D. I finally pulled it up, folks. Here's what's in D. As of the last time I saved this. These are ones that aren't in our current season, but whatever.
That'll be updated after the season finale.
Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed, Doom, Final Fantasy Spirits Within, Hitman, Kingsglaive, Final Fantasy, Persona 3 the movie, number 1, Ratchet and Clank, Resident Evil, Afterlife, Resident Evil the Final Chapter, and then Warcraft. And then
wait,
C,
Warcraft?
I'm not going to...
Wait, did you just read D or C?
D.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I was like, this is better than a lot of those movies. This is why
Yeah.
I would think that. Okay, fair.
I mean, for this season, we did grade... We had 4 Ds. We had Mortal Kombat Legends, Battle of the Realms, Super Mario Bros. Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach, Fatal Fury, Legend of Hungry Wolf, Persona, the movie, number 3.
I guess I would watch this over all 4 of those.
Right. Now that I'm looking at the... Like I said, I was coming to the call as a D. I'm leaning towards a C, but I'm just like, I need to look at what company, like you said, that they're in. And I think that's why C is like our toughest spot, because it's the most wide. Because I do like the criteria of B being the opposite of D. That feels right. And then there's a lot of movies that are just okay. You know what I mean? Like that's how it just winds up being. But it always feels weird when we talk about C movies, because you're like, is most of it good? I would say this movie had a lot of potential, but like you said, it could have been a lot better, but also could have been a lot worse. But looking at the C movies, we have some of the early live action Resident Evils, Silent Hill Revelation, Corpse Party, Angry Birds, I guess is the closest comparison I'm seeing right away. Sonic the Hedgehog OVA. And I'm like, I probably would watch that over Minecraft over Sonic the Hedgehog OVA. Maybe even Angry Birds, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think C makes the sense in terms of its company, just on its company alone. And it is, and I did use the word okay to describe this movie, and I feel like that is our C tier. Right. It's just weird to always put a movie. It's hard sometimes with that range is so long.
I also get the I have this immediate, you might have this immediate thought of where it goes, and they're like, well, this was too easy. Am I not thinking on this hard enough? You know
Right.
what I mean? I need to be more critical. But sometimes a movie just is. It just is there, and this is that. Like, some of the movies you described, I'm like, I would definitely watch this more than others, more than the movie you mentions. I'm sorry, it's late and I'm tired.
No, you're good. You're good.
And then some of those, I'm like, some of those in that same tier, I'm like, no, I would watch that over this. I would watch the Sonic OVA over this. I find that more interesting than the Minecraft movie.
I mean, all the Resident Evil movies
I
are
would
probably
watch-
like higher C for me, just because of the nostalgia of it a little bit. I
And
guess
the
best way
goofiness
to
of it
the goofiness
in a way
yeah.
that feels more camp than this. Like, this is trying to be goofy, But yeah, I don't know. Did you settle?
Yeah, I'm okay with C. I think if I have to
Did I
put
win
it
again?
somewhere, low
Folks,
C, just for the sake
here
of
on the Sonic
record,
Movie
but-
Show, I'm cutting you off here. Here on the Sonic Movie Show, we have a couple running things going on. There is the game show that always ends the 3-person season draft episodes, and there's struggles and strifes a part of that. There's a fight. And maybe we go on and say, oh, yes, this person's always like this and blah, blah, blah. And David always hates every good movie and loves every bad movie. And and Devin thinks that winning makes you an underdog and blah, blah, blah. Here is one reoccurring thing that is always true. I always win these fights. I win them every
Rampage.
single time. I win them all. I've never lost.
You can watch the Rampage episode.
Perfect A. I've always stated that. Every single one of these fights, I always win. I guess it just means I'm better at debating.
I remember when Ethan
Mr.
said
Politics
Detective
Boy.
Pikachu was a D because he said the Pokemon looked fake.
Yeah, because Pokemon are real, and like they made the Pokemon
Right.
not look real.
It was actually kind of a crazy thing. It's like the Lion King.
Hey,
why don't you get real lions?
You know what? I'll say this: Detective Pikachu, better movie than this because those creatures in Pokemon looked more real than these Minecraft things.
I don't think you've met a villager. I'll just say that.
I don't think you've met a Gengar. That dude was made of smoke in the movie. Ditto was a man.
Bro,
in
to
the
be honest,
movie.
I don't remember like anything of that movie. Like I don't
We'll
remember
have to do a rewatch of it.
It's been
at some point.
5 years.
Six?
Going on 6.
2019. Yeah. Buddy, we're a quarter century into the 2000s. Think about that. We're in the roaring 20s right now. The economy's doing great.
Are you tired of winning?
Thank you for watching this episode of the Sonic Movie Show. I know I pleaded at the beginning for you to like and subscribe, but my God, please do. Please. It's down there.
Every like goes a mile. All right.
I need it. Effort gets put into this show. David costs so much money. That's why he wasn't here. He's so expensive. And we can't pay for the... I don't know. I can't keep the bit going. I'm tired. Minecraft out.
Craft mine.
Do you have anything else to say, Devin? I kind of just ended it on you.